If something comes into your mind, just say yes to it, because you never know where that's going to lead you. And I always say build, the build it and they will come thing. And it's kind of an effortless thing. And I just know that when you're living in your joy and your passion and you're excited about something and you want to share it with people, it's like a magnet. When you're doing something you love, like what you do because you love it so much, it's not effort. I get so excited to look at my calendar to see who's next and what the next rabbit hole I get to go down. We're in the flow and you're doing something you love and you're in your passion. It's easy. It's effortless.
Welcome to Becoming Awesome with Peter D. and his special guest, Ashley Gonor.
Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm so happy to be with Ashley Gonor, host of the Uncover Your Magic podcast. I have to tell you, when I met Ashley, my magic certainly started to grow. Ashley is one of the most kind, loving, and powerful women that I know. So I'd like to introduce you to how you can uncover your magic and get to know Ashley. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you, Peter. It's an honor to be on this side of the of the Zoom, listening to you ask me questions. I'm so good today and so amazing every time I'm with you, and have had you on my show 3 times, and Tracy last month, which was amazing. But I started my Uncover Your Magic podcast as a mother of 2 young kids in 2020. And that was a voice in my head said, start a podcast. And my husband thought I was crazy because I was driving around, and, he thought I don't even have enough time to fold the clothes or do any of the housework. And he said, you're going to do a podcast. And it was that voice in your head that we talk about. And I just knew I had to say yes. And I'm a person that's in my life, if something's telling me to do something, I say yes. So I said yes. And then 2 days later, COVID happened, and I had to go pick up the girls from school because we were going to be gone and in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I thought, well, wow, I'll have 2 weeks to have a computer, get this podcast rolling. And then, what do we have? Months and years. I had all the time in the world to create this podcast. So when I look back and know that I said yes to it that day, not knowing how to do it, technically, for sure, didn't have a laptop. I had to borrow my daughter's, but they were home doing their schoolwork in their room. So it was perfect. And then I started just asking people to be on the show. I would listen to different podcasts, and then, try to email and thinking, who's going to come on to my podcast? So it'll be 5 years in March. So, almost 5 years. And I'm almost to the 300s. I haven't missed an episode. I have not missed a week. That's just my personality. I'm very, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm very disciplined, and I will not miss a week. And I've had the most expansive journey. And, when I think of thinking of writing a book, like how you've written 3 books, I feel like my podcast for me is like watching my story of my life unfold, of my growth, because I look back at the people I would be interviewing at the beginning, and I'm thinking, wow, even the questions I asked that back then, it's been such just this expansion, this transformation for me, myself, learning and growing from people like you and Tracy. And yeah, it's been amazing. And it's what lights me up every day. It's what brings me joy. And then all of a sudden I had a word. I always believe in a word for the year. Like, what's your word? I have to come up with one for January. But last January, it was connection. And I thought, I'm going to use the word connection. And all of a sudden, someone reached out to me and said, there's a place down in San Diego. Let's do a retreat. I want you, because I was started to say it in my intros. And so that kind of started it. And then every other month this year, haven't missed that as well. I've had these in-person retreats with people that I've had on my podcast. and they come into town or they live here. And the most amazing thing is Tracy and you are coming in January for this in-person podcast or in-person retreat for 2 days. But the connection this year in 2024 was something that when I said that word, I didn't realize the power that it had for the year. And it was so powerful. And it was such a year of such expansion. And now that we're coming to the end and we get to start January with you and Tracy, it gets me excited because I know there's so much more to grow, so much more expansion.
That's beautiful. We'll talk about the retreat in just a minute, but you've really grown with your listenership. You get thousands of listeners on each episode now.
Yes, it's crazy. I have
And yeah,
2 million so far.
2 million total downloads so far.
Yeah.
It just boggles my mind when I think about that. What I really love about your story, Ashley, is one, you listened. You said yes to the universe when the universe talks to you. And that's really the biggest key. Everybody I work with is, do they say yes when their inner guidance talks to them? And then it's funny, they complain, well, I just feel cut off. I don't feel connected. Well, are you saying yes? Right.
Right.
And the other thing
Exactly.
that really interests me is you took this on as a growth project. Not that your intention was to grow, but you did grow as a result of doing what you were called for. And from what I know about you, you love what you do. Can you talk just a little bit about the transformation, how you of a person has changed because you're sharing a message of growth with everybody else?
Yes. Well, I look back at, I always think back, like let's say 2020, I didn't really know podcasts. I would look at YouTube videos or listen to Audible books. And, I look back at, where I was, 4 or 5 years ago in my growth. And it's understanding, like, I can tell, like, when I connect with someone, they're calling me, right? Like when found you on a podcast, it was like, okay, Peter, like you were calling me. I knew I needed to learn from you. And so, and I go down, I call it rabbit holes, but I really do. I do my deepest dives before my interviews. So I've known their story and I've learned so much from them already before they even come onto the show that they're like my friend already and they don't even know it. But my growth
Yeah, you were
has,
different. When you interviewed me, you actually knew my material pretty well. And I was like,
right.
wow, who is this lady? So you put a lot of effort into knowing the people you interview, and then you grow from that. And tell me how that's changed your life.
And when you say I put a lot of effort, when you're doing something you love, like what you do because you love it so much, it's
Yeah.
not effort. I get so excited to look at my calendar to see who's next and what the next rabbit hole I get to go down. But my transformation is like, for myself, is I see the world so differently. My life has been one magical moment after the other. And even calling my podcast Uncover Your Magic, I didn't know back then in 2020 what to call this podcast, who I was going to interview. But I thought, well, everyone has magic. I'll just uncover their magic. I don't know who I'm going to uncover who's magic, but I'll just call it Uncover Your Magic. But it's uncovered my magic. I've understood too, like being a mom and raising two daughters in this world and meeting people that I've had on this podcast and using those tools to parent or to be in my relationship with Richard and have that as being that growing. Like the relationships and my friendships have grown so much from sharing these people like you and Tracy, and thinking of my world as this, like, your vibe attracts your tribe and you create this amazing community. And now I just look at all my tribe and it's all people from this podcast world that I've met that have listened to me, contacted me. We go on retreats together. They're going to come to your retreat. And It's amazing. And it lights
So I'm
me up.
stealing that line. I'm stealing that line.
What
Your
line?
vibe attracts your tribe. I'm so using that. That's the highest form of flattery theft. You know that, don't you? Right?
I love it. Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me, Ashley, is you epitomize something that I've come to discover, and that is in my doing, I become. And in my desire to share Ascension skills and tools, I receive Ascension skills and tools. And you're doing that. You just said, okay, I don't know what this podcast thing is. I'm going to go out and learn it. I'm going to go out and do it. You're quite successful at it now. You're helping hundreds of thousands of people with your work. And now it's coming back to help you. And that's, to me, that's inspiration. I mean, that's just so beautiful. That's like, you put yourself as on the top of that guest list for what you're doing to, you know, demonstrate to people how to become more. Uh, Tell me some of the most exciting things you've encountered in this process, please.
Exciting. It's just every person I meet, I know it's like I said, they're calling me at that moment in time of my life and my growth to take me to the next step and to keep going up that ladder. And I feel like, when you think of a guest, like a dream guest in my mind, right? Like even when I asked you, I didn't know if you were going to respond to my email. You never know. But now
Right.
I let them out and I send emails you've touched me and I would love to share your magic on my show. And I don't worry. I know it's all exactly perfect. And if they don't reach back out, it's not supposed to be yet. And so to me, when I surrender in life, and I know that the magic comes from that surrender place, and you just like keep going and know that every person in this path, 250 something has come into my life to teach me something at that specific time. And I feel
That's kind
like,
of cool.
but
That's so cool. Most people like go to the library or look for a book or scan to see what's hot out there, and they do that. You actually have your teachers come to you. You invite them to come to you, but then they come to you, and in the process of sharing them, you get to learn the lesson. I mean, that is just such an amazing way to look at growth.
yes. And what reminds me, I remember I can still see where I was when I was walking and listening to you before the first interview. And I remember doing this meditations and clearing and doing this connection. And for the first time, I would wake up in the middle of the night. And I probably said this on the podcast. And I could I started hearing that channel. And I was like, oh my gosh, the clearing that I just did with Peter is working. And it's just like, it's just so fun to experience that. And I remember laying in bed. I can remember it was the night before
That makes my
I
heart
saw you.
sing.
But it's true.
That
Like
makes
it's
my heart
amazing.
sing that, you know, yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for just pointing out that, yeah, the stuff that I am carrying forward does work. It's nice to get that confirmation because I live in a bubble, right? I don't really know that.
Right.
Uh, so tell me more. We're going to be having a retreat, and it's the 25th and 26th of January, the weekend if you're in San Diego. And it's going to be $100 off this price to attend if you do that by the 15th of November. So please, when you see this, go ahead and commit to do your growth
You mean
right.
December? It's already
Yes, the
December.
15th of December. Sorry. Sorry about that. So you're going to have, still another month to go ahead and commit to this, give yourself a Christmas gift. Now, you talked about finding and becoming. And then this led to you saying, okay, now I'm just going to do more than just carry podcasts. I'm going to do retreats because I'm interested in this connection. Tell me more about the evolution of the retreats and some of the things you've experienced from hosting them.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny when I look back at how I put them together, and I'm one of those. I had I can put things together. I love doing that. There's something inside of me that gives me joy to put people together and then share them with, like I do with the podcast, but in real life, when I'm seeing all the people that come and they get to experience that magic in person and uncover their magic, and I get to watch them uncover their magic. But the progression and having it every other month this year, and picking the people that come to talk and share their magic, who I've had on this show. Um, it's just like, and seeing that every time it's sold out. And I always say build, the build it and they will come thing. And it's so it's kind of an effortless thing. And I just know that when you're living in your joy and your passion and you're excited about something and you want to share it with people, that is like, it's like a magnet. And I just saw it work all year, and it's beautiful. And it's the people even that come to speak, come easy. So when we're in the flow and you're doing something you love and you're in your passion, it's easy. It's effortless, right, Peter?
I'm just excited because me, I like to think big. I remember I met a monk once and he told me, Peter, what's the biggest thing you can think of? And I told him, he says, now think bigger. Okay.
Right. I
So
love that.
it's like pretty soon it won't just be retreats, it'll be week-long expos that you'll be hosting, 4 or 5 day expos, and then you'll travel around the country and around the world with those. Ashley,
Okay.
I kind of see this coming down the pipe for you because you have that personality and that ability. Uh, so in addition to talking about how retreats have come and been a way that you've been able to manifest and actually see these changes take place in people, which of course, everything you give, you get. So if you're seeing changes take place in them, they're taking place in you. Can you just give me some, like, a big reflection? Did you ever think you would be right where you're at with this spiritual growth you're having? Did you ever think, wow, the vistas that are opening up to me are beyond what I even knew were a vista before?
Right.
Tell me what it's like to be on the cutting edge of growth and becoming more.
More awesome.
Yeah.
uh,
I
you
wanted to
know,
say that, but that's my tagline. And this is more magic because that's your tagline.
I'm waiting for you to say become more awesome. Yeah, I've always been the spiritual girl, right? When I was little, I'd always be attracted to the books and the seminars, and Abraham Hicks was a big thing, and
Yeah,
she
bless
lives,
them.
had a house here, and we'd go to her little the hotels on the weekends to watch her, and the Wayne Dyers and all that. But when you get to 55 years old and you've raised your children and you have an amazing relationship and you can use this tool as this podcast for me to heighten that growth and that transformation in my own spiritual journey. I don't want to say the word addicting because I feel like I could never not have that. It's just so, it fills my soul, every bit of it. And every day I get excited to wake up and find the next person or go down the rabbit hole that I'm going to interview that day or that week, and know that in from my heart, super authentic, I mean, I'm sincere I will not interview someone that doesn't align with where I'm at in my growth. And so that's kind of cool too, to get to that place where you have discernment on listening to people and think, yeah, I mean, it's amazing, but that's not where I'm at, you know? So
Right,
it's
right,
been,
right.
like looking at life and seeing the little, like when I had my session with Tracy, we did a little bit, and I've done past life regressions, and seeing similarities of what really fills my soul with this passion that I have for this. It's so apparent in other lives and other lifetimes
Cool.
of mine, which is really fun to see. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I just want to make a point before we wrap this up. And that is that in the past, there were big icons, right? Like you said, Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyers. And if you look at the way the media systems used to work, there were outlets that were very huge, but very small as far as the funnel and the channel. You had to go through certain hoops and then you'd become their superstar and they push you and sell you. And that's how it was. The internet changed everything.
Right.
And now everybody can speak to everybody instead of just a few people speaking to everybody. And because everybody speaks to everybody, that means that more and more of us are going to be able to claim our power and our growth. And I think more than anything, what impresses me in your story is you listened, you acted, And now you're an important voice that's teaching and helping others. And this is the role model, I think, for people, that it's going to be you coming to know your own internal power and say, yeah, I've got something to share. Let me share it. Let me help people. And then, boom, you grow from it. I think you're just in
Right.
a beautiful model. Let's wrap this discussion up by telling me what you see from the people, or not see, but what you wish from the people who are listening to your podcast, the people you're acting with. What's your vision for them?
Oh, that they just get excited for life and they're excited for growing and excited for where they're going in their life and to find their passion and to find, what lights them up and to say yes to everything that comes into your mind. And who knows if it's the right thing, but it is the right thing because it's going to lead you to the next thing if it's not. So
Right.
always saying yes, right? And
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
t- I I'm a parent like that with the girls. It's like if something comes into your mind, just say yes to it because you never know where that's going to lead you. And with the listeners and who I've connected with and who have contacted me from listening to the podcast, and those connections are so beautiful. You know, when I hear that I've changed their life by them, that from listening to the show, or I've met, after listening to that episode with so and so or Peter. I mean, you're an example of that. You and Tracy. I mean, I I can count on three hands. So many people that have listened to our episode and have now had their life changed and had sessions with you and Tracy, and then now are coming to the retreat and get to have that in person feeling with you and understanding that connection is so
More
much more
magnified.
powerful, right?
Yeah.
Than being on Zoom.
Yeah. And what I really love about what you're saying, Ashley, is trusting that inner self. I do so much work to clear out people's unconscious. People like, how do you get to their unconscious? It's easy if you let it, it's all guide into their unconscious. And then they'll get to some deep, dark, whatever. And they'll go, no, it can't be that. Or no, what about? Or I'm not sure. And I'm like, well, you just shut up for a second. You asked your unconscious to show you, got an answer. Why are you so invested in denying what just showed up? Well, let's
Right.
say yes to it and then release and clear. And you do
Right.
that on the positive side. Your unconscious isn't just holding the negative in, it's holding all the beauty of what you can become, what's coming to you, your growth. Can you just say yes to it? And I think, Ashley, you're just an amazing, beautiful example of how magic works for you, saying yes to it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you
Yeah.
have any
Everything in my
close?
life. Well, I just look back at my life and all the times I've said yes or, had a little bit of, that moment of should I and I do it anyway. Or, have those times where people are thinking I'm crazy doing what I'm doing and I just don't even listen because I do trust. And I do know that how important that just that word trust is to know that you do know the truth and you do have that knowing within you when that does come to you and to not question it. And I'm the hugest advocate about that. And it's like when I see people at my retreats and they're telling a story and the story's not taking them down the story that they want. And I'm like,
Right,
change your
right.
story, change your life. And they're like, what? It's that easy? And I'm like, yeah, it is. Change your
Yeah.
story.
Especially when you're with a group of people holding a consciousness that's higher for the new story, which is why retreats are so cool to
Right.
do the in person and why they're so much stronger and so transformative. So, this is Ashley Gonor. The podcast is Uncover Your Magic. Check the links below this YouTube, and you can put some more magic in your life by listening. Please join us in person in San Diego, January 25 and 26th. You have a early bird discount if you register by December 15th, and the links for that are also below. Hope to see you soon. Anything you want to say on the way out, Ashley?
Oh, just when you have that, even if you're questioning coming, just go. There's a reason you're questioning it because you're supposed to be there with us. And we all want to uncover our magic together with Peter and Tracy. And the venue that we have is absolutely breathtaking view of Coronado Bridge, the water, all the I mean, it's just beautiful. And that there's plenty of hotels to stay at, beautiful location right downtown San Diego, 10 minutes at the most from the airport. And if you're local, San Diego, there's no excuse. So if there's one question, even if you're watching this video, there's a reason you're watching this video, right, Peter?
Yes, I'll say yes to that.
Just come and be uncovering our magic with Peter and Tracy. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So thank you, Ashley, and thank you to everybody who's listening today. And please just go ahead and subscribe to Ashley's podcast and just get a whole range of beautiful growth opportunities that have been vetted by this beautiful soul.